All right, thank you for being here. I'm Eleanor Soei-Winkels, and I'm the host of the Postdoc Transformation Show. Usually, I would sing the intro, and if you want to, I can also sing. But I want to conclude the session that I have just started on TikTok with Professor Dr. Carlotta Berry, because she has been with me live up until the last minute. And whatever you want to see there or want to listen to, I will also have in my postdoc transformation show as a separate episode. So you're not going to miss anything. But instead, now I would love to share all the questions with you so that you can also use these questions and ask your own mentors, your own role models, and in academia, but also beyond academia. So let's see. This session is called Mentoring Your Way. And maybe you are also in the lucky position that you have a mentor, but maybe you don't have one and you want to find someone. And sometimes I'm asked to be a mentor or so, and I'm a multiple mentor. I've been mentoring for a couple of years, new professors, new lecturers, new PhD students, but also I've been mentoring bachelor and master students from time to time as my capacity allows. And all these questions that I've gotten were sometimes, I'm not sure, they could have been more strategic, and they could have been more, I would say they should have been more strategic, and they could have been, more informative for them, because sometimes they didn't ask the questions that I thought that were more insightful in the answers that I could share, because I'm a different mentor for them maybe than someone else. This being said, I want to point out that I had a lot of mentors who didn't look like me, who didn't act like me, but I still could learn from them. But I would say that finding a mentor who is also, marginalized in the sense of underrepresented, underprivileged, underserved as well, is rare. And you should also not take advantage of that, but you should also, benefit from the situation in the sense that you can then ask different kinds of questions. Because you cannot ask a male mentor who is not doing, care work, to ask them about career and kids questions, something like that. So if you find someone who can, you can relate to, and also has kids and also does the care work, then this is the situation where you should ask that. Okay, so now I'm sharing a couple of questions that you are maybe you can also ask. So first thing first, these questions are like in a postdoc transformation card game series. So a lot of these questions I've already shared on TikTok. So for example, 10 were for PhD students. So I'm sharing them here. These are all for PhD students. Then I have another set that is for postdocs, for example. And then I also have a couple of questions for new PhD holders. So that means they are freshly graduated. And I also have some for professors that are, more neutral. Okay. But the questions that I've discussed with Professor Dr. Carlotta A. Berry were the ones for a professor who is also underrepresented, underserved, and also underprivileged. So without further ado, I'll be sharing a lot of questions now. And this is just to, show you and why it's worth it to also listen to the episode that I have just recorded and will, polish up and mix up for the postdoc transformation show. And now we're talking about the questions for underrepresented, underserved, and underprivileged professors. All right. So number one is, what motivated you to pursue a career in academia despite the challenges and barriers you face as someone from an underprivileged and underrepresented background? Okay, so just by, sharing or appreciating that that professor probably hasn't become a professor easily is already an acknowledgement, an appreciation, right? So you understand that someone has reached a certain level within academia, and there were some obstacles. And by sharing the obstacles and sharing how they have overcome them, you can then learn whether it's worth it, and whether you've got what it takes to also overcome your barriers and your obstacles, right? So number two would be, how did you find strength and resilience in the face of adversity, if that has happened to you? And what lessons do you hope to impart to future generations facing similar obstacles? I always hope that a professor is also, by definition and also by inner calling, someone who wants to lead and also develop the students, the team, the PhD students, the postdocs, to become better leaders within academia. And this question really shows you how much that mentor can share with you and wants to share with you. And like I said, I have different mentors. They don't necessarily look like me. I've learned a lot from every one of them. Sometimes I also learned what not to do, or what I don't want to do, or what I can't do because I'm not like them, right? So I think these are great differentiators that you will learn so that you can decide more insightfully on your own career track within academia or not. All right, then I also had some questions like, were there any mentors or allies who played a pivotal role in your journey, and how did they help you to navigate in the academic world? All right. Number 4 would be then, can you recall specific instances where your unique experiences and perspectives from your background enriched your teaching and research? So I would think that the teaching style that you have is also stemming on your own personality and your upbringing and your own, own experiences. And I would hope that these will also color, so to speak, that they will ingrain your way of teaching. That makes you unique. And when you ask your professor or your academic role model, or whatever, whoever, this can be, a great, runway to a deeper, much deeper conversation. And I would also say that you don't have to ask all 20 questions in one session. But instead, when you look at the questions, you can say, for the next session of 1 hour, maybe we just pick 2 or 3 or whatever, or let your mentor choose which one she or he wants to answer. So then this way, it's sort of like more on eye level, in the sense of you're not asking the questions like a journalist, like someone who, demands answers. But instead, that mentor could also, choose what questions to ask and what to discuss. And sometimes maybe, as someone who is also affected by the questions emotionally, I would say that sometimes, or let me put it this way, sometimes I read these questions and say, I've never been asked this kind of question, and I need to think about how much I want to share, because it is triggering so many emotions, so many memories, that I'm not sure whether I want to answer this without overthinking it in a way that maybe it's too burdensome or whatever. Okay, so let's see what else we've got. So number 5 would be then, how did you create an inclusive and welcoming environment in your classroom to uplift students who, like you, might come from an underprivileged or underrepresented background? There's a typo on there. But anyway, the question is really, if you are interested in teaching, learning how to teach, becoming a professor in the sense of not so much research oriented, but instead you want to, hone your didactic skills, then this is a great question to ask. All right. I want to also encourage you to listen to the Postdoc Transformation Show if you want to leap out of science, because that is a show for scientists leaping into business, right? So I've already recorded 20 plus episodes on all kinds of, topics before and after, during the career transition. And if you are missing a topic, please let me know so that I can record another episode. in the future that addresses that kind of question that you have or the topic that you're missing. All right, next one up is what values and principles guided you in your academic pursuits while remaining connected to the struggles of your community. And especially if you're talking to a mentor who is maybe not by the color or I mean, there are things that you cannot change, right? But obviously you can change your voice, you can change your language, you can whatever. So sometimes you could also be, code switching, or like was what Carlotta said. But I also say that I think that most of the people who I talk to without that they are seeing me, they would say that I'm white passing because of the way that I behave. And you need to find out whether or how much you want to be connected with your community. And these are the questions that you can ask also your mentor, and that can also stir up some motivations to reconnect and something like that. So this is the moment where I would say, as a mentor, I would also be benefiting from the situations like that, because I think that mentors can also learn from their mentees, and maybe they have been blind on their way up. They have been, they had to become a harder person or so, and a question like that could also remind them to stay connected or reconnect with their community. All right, number 6 would be in this series, can you share stories of small victories and big milestones that showed you the impact of your work was having on others who faced similar challenges? And I would love to have sort of like a memory book of that. So I would say that if you're asking your mentor like that, then they will probably know by heart a lot of smaller situations or occasions where they have seen these the positive impact, or small parts of a legacy that they are building, right? So if you're asking a mentor who's I've been a professor for 10 years, and there are a lot of things that I'm proud of. And for example, one of my first students has become a professor also, and that student once was older already than me. So that's these are small victories. They don't appear on paper, right? So that's not a certificate or a diploma or something like that, but the impact that you have is on humans, on human beings, on your students. These are the small victories that you can learn from when you're talking to your mentor. All right, then we have another question, which is, how did you balance your responsibilities as an educator, a researcher, an advocate with your commitments to your family and community? And I'm smiling about this question because Carlotta says that she wasn't I think that she maybe was harder on herself than necessary, because I think it's, for a professor, it is hard to balance everything, because once you reach the top, it's more like everyone wants something from you, and it's hard to say no and to decline and to always it is hard, because at the top you also have some obligations that aren't easily reconciled with family and so on. So it is hard for a working mom, and it is hard for a working mom professor. And that's why I said probably she was a little bit hard on herself. But these are the questions that I would say that are worth to be asked multiple times over the lifespan of your mentor, because I think that answers will change. The answers will change according to the season of life. All right, then the next question would be, what advice do you have for students and young individuals who come from underprivileged, underrepresented, and underserved backgrounds, aspiring to follow in your footsteps? And Carlotta's answer was absolutely remarkable, because she said she shares a lot of that advice already on her TikTok. And I would urge you to seek and find the role models that you have in academia, but also on social media, because on social media, these professors, these postdocs are probably the ones who are more open to share their experience. And maybe they don't know the postdoc transformation card game series, but you can take these questions, take screenshots out of this video, share the questions, ask them. I don't even have to know that, but I bet that if they answer, they will create value for you so that you can follow up in their footsteps. Even if I don't know about this would make me really happy. And this is sort of like that resonates, or that is a similar line to what we have just talked about. Sometimes we don't know that we had an impact. And maybe you just take and run with any of these questions and ask. And that way you'll get insights for your own career transition or your own career planning. All right. So I would say this is the last question, because I don't want to have, too many minutes for an episode. So the 10th question and last question would be, were there instances where you had to challenge the status quo in academia to create a more inclusive space, and how did you navigate those situations? Right. And my answer would be, it depends probably on how far your mentor is advanced, in the sense of, has she already or it been tenured or not? Because up to be on the way to tenure, you probably have to be more, delicate in navigating those situations. But for me, for example, I was also in appointment committees, so appointing a new professor, and I was that in the engineering department because they were lacking women. So because I did IT strategy consulting, I was considered to be STEMinist enough to be in the appointment committee of the engineering department. And I was the only woman, I was the only person of color, and I was obviously the only mom. And they were always meeting like 10 times a semester, and they were meeting in the afternoons. And I said, you know what, I cannot reserve 10 times an afternoon open-ended, because for every of these meetings I have to get 2 babysitters for my kids. I can't have one for both, I need to have 2. And this is also taking away the time that I could use for teaching, right? So, or other work, right? So can we also change that to the, mornings or, midday, so that the time is already covered during kindergarten and primary school? And then they said no. And I said, well, okay, then I will, stop this commitment. I won't be able to contribute on the appointment committee anymore. After 2 years, I think it's already enough for peanuts anyway. But it is enough, because I said, if you want a woman on that committee, if you want a person of color, if you want a mom, then you should also accommodate to her needs, because otherwise you won't have the diversity that you are longing for, right? So this is my 2 cents on that, and I hope that you find the questions valuable. And if you want to learn more about the questions, I have 10 more like this, but I also have 24 professors that are more privileged, more represented, and more served, maybe like us. And I also have questions for PhD students, for new PhD students or new PhD holders, and also for postdocs. So all questions in total are 80, and I've shared just a couple of them on social media. So there's a lot of questions that we still have to cover. And I hope that you will join the Postdoc Transformation Show, which is the show for scientists leaping into business. If you want to know whether you are ready to leap into business, then you should also check your readiness to leap out of science. And if that is positive for you, then you want to probably leap into business. And if you then need free structured guidance, you can also enroll in my free email course, Career Transition Made Simple, which entails or comprises of 10 emails until you land your first job in business. And I hope that you find all these free resources valuable. And if you can do me a favor, then please share, like, and comment this episode, this video, this audio, wherever you see this, so that more people like us can see this and, benefit from it. Thank you so much. Share this with your scholar besties, and I'll see you next time in the postdoc transformation episode, or I'll be in your earbuds. Thank you for your attention. Bye-bye.